I'm on with Loren Michaels Harris. He's a former foster child who strives to inspire and uplift every person who crosses his path. As a mentor, a breakthrough coach, author, and friend, Loren believes that we are part of the ripple effect that is, and it is his duty to use his story to create a ripple that goes around the world. Loren currently has a gold cast motivational video that has earned well over 7 million views worldwide. In addition to his recently released album, Turn It Around, Loren has been featured on Larry King Live, NPR, People Magazine, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and Fox. Welcome, Loren. It's amazing to have you here. I'm so glad you're here.
Muted. Okay, I'm not muted. I'm not trying to end up on a Geico commercial. I'm excited to be here too. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you to all the others.
Loren, could you share a little bit of your story with us that got you inspired to reach the world?
The story that got me inspired to reach the world. No one's ever posed it like that. Okay. Wow. The story. Can you repeat that?
Could you share with us what
I'm kidding.
inspired you to reach the world?
You know, actually, having just walked around that question, that's what I was doing. I was walking around it while I was stalling or trying to. I would have to say truly that it was the lack of inspiration within myself that led me to it. I had gone outside of everything that was me, seeking what I found when I found myself. So I would have to say that what led me to wanting to, it wasn't even wanting, I retract that, it was needing. There's a difference between want and need. Want is oftentimes, and it doesn't equate to more than a wish list, but need comes with a plan. And that's what did it. I needed to find inspiration for myself, really not even realizing that why it was so paramount, so important, so urgent, was because in order for me to do what I truly wanted to do with others, I first had to do it for myself, with myself, through myself. So I would say it was the courage. To sum all that up, here it is. Finding the courage to look over my shoulder to the life that I'd already lived. I thought it held no value. I knew I could tell a good story, but I didn't know that I had lived a great story. Big difference.
That's profound.
Ah,
A lot of what you do is profound.
you kill me. Okay, it's your show.
Everybody's thinking like,
Oh,
grasping
well,
the concept.
it's the truth. It really is the truth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I don't think you were on earlier when I was talking about it with a different speaker, but a lot of us are, in fact, most of us are masters, at least the people that follow me and follow you, I'm sure, are masters. And we dove into more crap than a lot of people did. And it's like a video game. You either kind of do a beginning level or you do a master level. And my parents were abusive and dark and heavy and misogynistic and prejudiced and everything else. They were very boxed people. And
Mhm.
and I had to break out of that stuff. But as I broke out of it, I brought more light to myself and to the world. And that's how we do. So I know you had a pretty hellacious childhood.
No,
Not not hellacious, but you put a lot in your I'm gonna move from here somewhere else, right? You brought yourself
yeah,
out of I don't know if people watched your video, but you had what, 21 or 22 mothers?
22.
Oh god. Most people have a hard time dealing with one mother.
Mm. Well, Lisa, our stories are everything. You know, you can look at my story, listen to my story, watch my story, and sit there and go, "Oof, dear Jesus, how? I could have never," which is accurate. You couldn't have. That's why it was my journey and yours was yours. There are things that you've done that everyone here has done that they didn't think they could do. And that when we see and hear about that, we know we couldn't. It's not in my wheelhouse. I just couldn't do it. Um, but I believe that everything that comes, and that includes trauma, and that's the thing. A lot of people think a lot that's happened in my career. The Lost or Found Gold Cast, which actually now is 21 million views. I
Oh,
need to update that resume clearly.
yeah.
That bio. Uh, I don't have a VA or anything. I'm a one man show, so it's like
Thank
got the name
you.
right. I'm a 59 in a couple weeks. You know what? Let's be happy with that. Got the name right. So there's the Bella purpose. To be honest, it's like I live today within purpose. And a lot of people get that misconstrued, that entire conception or the perception, the mindset, all of it. A lot of people spend their lives looking for purpose. Well, you eat, I don't care if you were a planned pregnancy or not. Purpose began when you beat the greatest odds known to man, all of us, hitting the egg first. And when that happened, we beat all the odds. We can check our bucket list. We can take that box and go just like that before forming a thought without ever uttering a word. Um, because after that, the greatest odds known to man, what is there left to do except to establish odds, create odds, set the bar for others who are coming down a different path, not a wrong path, just a different path. That's how, this whole thing with content and sharing our stories and pouring into people and uplifting and motivating, impacting, all the different ways to say the same thing. Uh, you know, it comes through experience. In order to tell somebody something from your hard drive, not off a flash drive, the jury's not out, the verdict's in, the courtroom's been cleared, is through your story. The only way to do that. And, for many years, I thought I was cursed. Oh my goodness. They walked into our house. I was just a kid. My mom had just suddenly died. Didn't have a cold, nothing. One minute we're in the grocery store, the next minute I'm putting away groceries, and that final trip to the car to get that last bag, I tripped, literally coming inside over her body.
Oh,
And, she didn't recognize me from one moment to the next after that. And, I'm just a kid. And when they took her away and I waved from that porch, I didn't realize she'd never come home. I didn't. That was just the beginning. I didn't realize that a week later to the day after burying her, fate would come and knock on the door and say, well, there's something you don't know. They were planning on telling you soon, but your name is not Larry Dixon, who I'd been all my life. This isn't your birth family. You weren't even adopted. And I'm like, who said anything about adopted? I mean, I looked like these people. I'd been there since I was a week old. No one had ever said anything. But then, later it started clicking down the road a piece like, well, that explains why there were never any pictures of me. No baby pictures, no anything. Family members kept them at their homes because I was in hiding, basically. So suddenly, overnight, I was not who I thought I was. I was not in the family I thought I was. I was no longer going to live in the house I'd always been in, go to the same school. And so they gave me 20 minutes to put all that I could carry in a trash bag. And everyone in that living room, there were about 14 family members still at our home at this point. It was very soon after the funeral.
uh-huh.
And I remember when the doorbell rang, everyone got suddenly quiet, every single person. And they were, and then they looked at me. And I'm like, what? So, long story short, a lot of people may think that was the beginning of a horrible, horrible um, trail of unfortunate circumstances. And they felt like that at the time because you know no better. But it wasn't long inside of this new experience that the adventure began for me. And that was, I knew, I love my favorite movie. Do you hear my cat? She's got
Yeah,
her baby. And Ethel,
it's okay.
take that baby somewhere. Girl, she does that on my show sometimes, but they have roles on the show, so she's got a contract for that. But you're not getting paid. If you think you are, you got nothing coming. So anyway, that's pro bono. Anyway, so it was like I remember the very first thing that first download. I call them downloads today. Back then, as a
Yeah, I
child,
do too.
I you okay, because I had imaginary friends. I talked to them, they talked to
Yeah.
me, blah blah blah. I've always had a thing with words. Thank God. I see words three-dimensionally. So content for me is not about creating it. It
What do they call
is.
that? Fesicentic or something like that.
Oh,
There's a
see,
word
no. Let me tell you, just like on my show, no
like
words over
music.
six. No words with more than six letters in it. Okay, I went to public school.
Oh,
Let's just keep
oh,
it there.
sorry, I don't
Let's just
know
keep it
the
there.
word
Okay,
either.
I'll
So
have to ask you to keep your words down to six letters.
it
So,
just means you're psychic and you're seeing the energy as it comes into the reality, right?
well, and I didn't know that. And that's
Yeah.
the thing here on the 58-year end of the bookshelf. Yeah, but back then you don't know, but you do. And when I mean that, I knew that I was inside of my very own never-ending story. I was told in that first download, Lauren, this is not anything to be afraid of, but this is where you learn the true meaning of being fearless. It doesn't mean you will ever be completely devoid of fear, nor should you ever be. That is how everything that keeps all of your senses on high alert, that is the switch that flips that. So, but you want to grow fearless with each and every experience, less and less fear. Um, so I was pretty much instructed to consider and look at everything from a case study point, especially wherein it pertained to people. Because you have to understand, I could be in a house at 8 a.m. in the morning with nine other people, have gone to school at a school where I hadn't even been there a week, come home at 4 o'clock, and by 7 o'clock be in an entirely different city, in an entirely different home, in an entirely different room, entirely different people.
Yeah.
Going to sleep worrying about who's going to like me and who isn't tomorrow. Entirely new school. And when you're a foster kid and you move from place to place with a trash bag, it pretty much is par for the course that someone's going to know you're in the system. And oh, where'd you tie your trash bag up? Where'd you sleep under? What bench did you sleep under last night? All kinds of things. And so, some people today they call that bullying. Um, I
Yeah.
don't think those kinds of things ever really need a name. They, it's the equivalent of just being drop kicked in the gut,
But
physically,
it
spiritually.
but that
Yeah.
whole experience brought you back to yourself, right? Because you couldn't depend on
No,
anybody in the physical world. You had to
no, it
depend on
didn't bring me back to myself. I was always myself. It brought me back to the door of opportunity for everything that was already great to become greater, everything that was already strong to become stronger, every light within me that was bright. It
so
was giving me
you never
opportunity.
fell asleep.
I can't
Oh,
say that either. Yes, I did.
oh, you did. I
I
did
drove
for
off.
a
I
while.
drove off the road many a times. Absolutely,
No,
I did. I did.
energetically, not physically, right?
I do. And the reason it's not like I'm pushing back on everything you're throwing at me, Lisa. What I'm saying is, it was never, this is how purpose works for me anyway.
Uh-huh.
It was never all good or all bad. It
Uh-huh.
was never all high or all low. It felt one way 1 minute and it felt another 1 minute later. And I'm very grateful for that maze, that many mazes that I traveled through over the years, because they taught me the power of choice, choosing myself in and out of every situation. Because just, in my opinion, we make so many things so far more difficult than they need to be. For instance, there really only are two choices: the one you are going to make, one for whatever reason you can't or don't. I know now today, it took me, yes, 4.5 decades, but nonetheless, better late than never. I spent decades waking up every day thinking that my story was having to be written with my use of all 26 letters of the alphabet. It wasn't until I truly loved me that I truly loved the experiences involving me and others, if that makes any sense.
Uh-huh.
And once that happened, that was when the being of service part really began to make sense to me, because I found that I had, because of everything that I had been conditioned and groomed and brainwashed into believing was trauma, torture. You're broken. You have baggage. He's damaged. He's special needs. Well, I was a kid. All kids are special, and all kids have needs.
Yeah,
It
totally.
was My world was riddled with words that deceive. That was the very first thing, the very first online course the universe signed me up for. Told me from the very beginning that words that deceive will always jump before the truth, somewhere between words number 1 and number 7. For instance, oh my God, I needed 20 bucks, and out of nowhere, it appeared. The strangest
Oh,
thing, Lisa, I was just thinking about you, and here you are on the phone. Isn't it weird how you always hear this afterwards? Or, mm, let me take, wow, sangria is good as hell. Really? In in this one, whatever. Really? It's just like offering the universe a blank check. Anybody, anything, come in and fill it in. And then the worst of all, this is the one that I was taught first. It started me with little words. That's how I joke about my 6 word limit, my 6 letter limit on words. Uh, it said start with the greatest assassin. This word is the John Gacy of vocabulary. It is the John Gacy of story. It is a serial killer of every syllable of truth he can get his dirty hands on. And that word is TOO. That word, when used properly at the end of a sentence, is inclusive. Oh, Lisa, come on, we've got room for you too. Hey, why don't you come with us? I'd love for you to be there too. But when we move it to the middle of the front, it becomes an assassin, the John Wayne Gacy of vocabulary, of dreams, of intentions. All of a sudden, now I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too stupid. I'm too poor. It's too late. I'm too tired. Too hard. And when I really started studying words that deceive, I started Xing them out, eradicating them, kicking them, booting them off of my hard drive, not even giving them, an Airbnb place on my thumb drive. The jury was back. You have to go. And the minute I started eradicating them from my own vocabulary, guess what? I started seeing them when they were being attempted to be thrown into my world from others.
mhm.
Words that deceive. Ooh, you sure are lucky.
Well, a lot of
Thing about
people don't realize it's everything's energy. And so if you go to a pizza place and the guy says, you come back now, he's just subconsciously doing it. But if you get into that agreement, you feel it. Oh, I need to go get a pizza. If he's low on money, he's like, come get my pizza. Come buy my pizza. And so I learned to remove all those cords and attachments. And I'd say, and then you have to be strong in it and say, no, maybe not. I might, but no. And then I used to tell people, oh, I'll, they'll say, will you think about that for me? And it would keep my mind busy thinking about their thing for 3 days. And I'm like, forget that. So there's a lot of people that manipulate, and some of them are doing it consciously and some of them are doing it subconsciously. But when you're energy sensitive, you can feel that you're being manipulated. And I think that's what
See,
your
well, let me just
true.
say this. Let me just say this, because all of what I was referring to, energy, healing, all of these things just a couple years ago is woo woo. Because I'm going to tell you something. That's good when we're here and we know someone flicked the light on, or we did, and we understand these things. But it's that road to discernment. It's that place, when you're in there, you're not thinking about energy when you're sleeping on a park bench.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about energy when you see a mattress move and suddenly there's a hole in the wall in a room you've never slept in. And you see a 47-year-old man crawl through that hole and he heads straight for you. So I'm saying this: no, before energy, before any of that stuff that we learned later, do you know what we had with us? We had all of the things we needed, even children. Even I didn't crawl out of my crib, Lisa, and tell my biological family, forward my Pampers over here. I'm out of here. I didn't. How or what was it that guided me
Your guidance,
when
your
I
inner.
didn't even? I'm gonna tell you,
Yeah.
'cause I can only speak from my own experience. I didn't know it was energy. I didn't know it was frequency. I didn't know it was them, they, she, her, him. I didn't know it was source. I didn't know it was God. And I was raised in a religious family
Uh-huh.
because nothing made sense to this little kid. But what did make sense was, wow, I had a feeling that if something's telling me to, I didn't have. See, suddenly there was nobody saying, hey, Larry, come show me your homework. I want to check it to make sure it's got. Larry, is that light off? Are you still reading? Time to go to bed. Larry, did you take a bath? Did you clean out the bathtub? Nothing. Crickets. So I had to listen to anything that spoke to me from a place of love.
Uh-huh.
You see, and it wasn't me because I was thinking at the time, I'm a throwaway, I'm a castaway. They didn't even, how come I didn't know this was not my name? How, so I didn't know who to be pissed at, who to hate, none of this. But what I did know was that there was a ring of truth. That's why the ring is truth, and truth has a ring to it.
Uh-huh.
Something that I now know today, just like you know about frequency and you know about energy, it was all of these things kept in here, just like where that main chakra exists. I refer to them as my IN armor. All of my weapons that I use to not hurt people ever, not even that 40-some-year-old man that came through that wall that very first night in foster care. But I use those weapons to cut the vines of hate, free up the plant so roots of forgiveness can grow, and this, that, and the other, all that goes with it. But I remember I was told very young, very, very soon upon entering the system, to keep yourself alive inside and out. Focus on everything that is already in you: instinct, integrity, insight, intuitiveness,
Uh-huh.
intelligence. They're all internal. And the only way anything good or bad can get to them, is through your use of invitation. Later in life, I experienced a 14-year drug addiction. And I know for a fact I was never once, not for 2 seconds, not 1 second, ever addicted to drugs. I was addicted to abusing the art of invitation because it couldn't have done a thing if I didn't say, come in. And then
That-
people say, well, what
yeah,
about when you were a
that's right.
kid? What
Yeah.
about when you're a baby? What about that? You didn't choose that. You didn't invite that in. No. But sometimes we find ourselves in situations around people and things going, not because we're bad people, but because sometimes we go through the dark so that we will appreciate the light, to be an authority on both sides of the aisle. And sometimes we're in bad situations or what are perceived as them. Whenever you see me do this, it means I just use words that deceive, because are no bad situations. There are no mistakes. There are missteps, never mistakes. So sometimes we're in those situations that don't feel so good because we have to find, we're looking at an example of what never to become. I know right
Oh,
there, I
that's a
never
good way
want
to
to
put
be
it.
like that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So,
great.
you know, as far as this content, because that's what we're here about. And I know there's a lot of people here, most people I think are from the film industry, which I just love, because movies are what led me to the stories within my world. If I had never seen things like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, The Wizard of Oz, The Never-Ending Story, those types of stories, if I hadn't read Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, people that went on adventures that never stopped. They fell, but they got back up over and over. There were integrity pieces. Those were the things that made those stories a page turner. Those were the ones that made me hold them to my chest and feel like I was missing my best friends the moment it said the end. But that led me to, again, the courage of looking over my shoulder. In television, whereas I feel it's different, because in film, it's about recreating and telling stories, even for the actors, the directors, everybody. How do we tell the story in the best light possible? But from where I live, as an impactor, as a speaker, television and that sort of thing, live television, it is my content, my greatest content. It never can come from me. I can never just sit down and think up something. Um, it comes through me
Yeah.
on its way to the world. And I find that my greatest content is always when I share the life I am currently living, or have most recently lived. I believe I treat my content, and when I coach people, I coach them to treat their content just like your neighborhood grocery store treats their produce. They put the freshest right up front. Use it first. Take the freshest, offer the freshest. And in my life, so on TV, I can wake up, if I did something really stupid yesterday, I can turn it into content. It is content. It's dialogue. Because I'll
Well,
tell you
and you
this.
you you believe in yourself, so you can tell people, "Hey, I do stupid things because I'm human," and then they can relate that we're all human and nobody's perfect and we're all moving forward and it's okay. It's okay to be you. And a lot of people don't know that. They don't know it's okay to be them.
Why do you think that is? Because not enough people are having the honest, authentic conversation where they say, you know
Right.
what you just said, I lived that same thing. I've lived that very same thing. When I get called into to do global leadership training, big companies, like Whirlpool and GE and places down in the city, the textile mart and stuff like this, with all these, you know, creatives, and there'll be small groups of really brilliant people, 10 or 12, and we'll go and they'll say each person will write down. I'll have them write down what their biggest challenge is, the thing that they wish they could just wave a magic wand and it'd be gone, and I mix them up and I pull it out and I'll start describing it from where I lived it. I'll say, anybody here relate to that same sort of, had that same problem, the same issue, the same speed bump? Every hand will go up except for one. And it was the person whose piece I was reading. But they've been working 10, 12, 15 hours a day sometimes before we went home remotely on COVID, right next to each other, not knowing that. And it was like that across the board. Every single person that said they had a thing they didn't know what to do about, I don't know how I'm gonna get away from this. Everybody there in their clothes, and people in the front row seats in their lives had already lived it, had already put a flag in that mountain, conquered it. But why didn't you know it? Because nobody, very few, sit down and have true conversation. The promise, if you're a Bible believer, I love stories, and the Bible is another story. When it says, no weapon formed against you, that's true. It won't prosper. But it says nothing about weapons that we create and not and give to people to use against us. It's like not opening up your mouth. Closed mouths don't get fed. Or changing your story. Because if they knew I had that pregnancy at 15, if they knew I had been abused at 19, if they knew I had an abortion, if they knew, if they knew, if they knew, if they knew, they might say, well, you know what? Oh my goodness. And let me tell you this. Guess what? How'd you do it? Da da da. We have our own answers right next to us, and that's value. And everybody wants to move forward. They want increase. I want great to be greater, smart to be smarter, bright to be brighter. That's like saying I want this penny to be a nickel. I want this nickel to be a dime. I want this dime to be a quarter. Well, if you were in charge of the bank of life, would you give somebody who doesn't even know they have countless pennies all around them, and they're not even picking up a one, not even looking for them? Why would you give them nickels and dimes where they're only going to do the same thing, because we're, if nothing else, we're creatures of habit. So it's not like you have to earn or learn your way from a nickel to a quarter to a dime to the. No, all you have to do is do right by your pennies. Be grateful. Get up every day. You're great when you wake up because you woke up a second above ground. Qualifies
True.
as great. So now
I'm
don't get up thinking you have to start a whole story with all 26 letters. Look for the E and the R. You know you're strong. Have you never been on your ass before? Yes, you have. Have you made all those calls and suddenly nobody's picking up? Every time I only need $20 to make this bill, and suddenly all your friends are posting there at the casino. Nobody had $10 to contribute. But you know what? We don't hang around long enough having the conversations, because I've been forced to in many times. And I've learned this. By being around, I thought I was never going to get away from a lot of people in my life, especially during that 14 years of addiction.
uh-huh.
Guess what I learned? I learned this. It didn't matter, because when I was a crackhead on the street, family, friends, whoever, wherever that was coming from, it still came. It came then. When I got cleaned up and was getting on my feet, Oh, he's got his own place. Oh, he doesn't got a car yet. He's riding a bike. Oh, he bought a $600 little tracker. Look at him. Then there was always something they had to say about it. But when it made no difference when they called me a crackhead when I was on the cover of magazines and said now he's a global achiever. It made no difference that I was out on the street and the next day I was on Oprah. The same people that talked when I was down, talked when I was crawling up, and talked when I was standing up. I got it now. My job is to just encourage people to talk
Even if
because
it's negative.
at least they're beginning. At least they're starting. It's when we suppress things, we hold back. Every
Yeah.
every story that we learn from, grow from, every culture that we've learned from, whether they're still in existence or extinct, if it was hieroglyphics, if it was Dead Sea Scrolls, if it were skywriting, time capsule pieces, whatever it is, it has always been a part of us as people, as souls, to leave that story, tribes, family members, family recipes, all kinds of things like that, heirlooms, antiques, all those things are kept because they're attached to a story. Now, what is the same? Now, how do we do that with our body, our flesh, our blood? See, we get it confused. People work all their lives worried about, I don't want to leave my fingerprints there. I'm at the scene of the crime. Oh, you don't want to leave your DNA there. A follicle of hair, a cell of skin, something like that. You know what? But guess what? When you die, all that's not going to make a difference. No one's going to be tracing your DNA through the national database. No one's going to be lifting fingerprints and dusting. Here, Loren Michaels Harris, touch this doorknob. Here it is. We found it, Eureka. No, because when I die, so are those two things, that DNA and those fingerprints. But you know what's going to stay behind? It's the last thing I do. My story. It is the only thing that has an opportunity to live far beyond me, to keep healing and teaching, just like it healed and taught me. It will not change. Why? Because it has the cord of truth right through the middle of it. Whether people like it or not, I don't apologize for it. Because guess what? I have decided to never offer the world a version of any of my stories. I'm giving it to you the way life gave it to me. I'm dropping it off the way I picked it up. That's the only way I can keep it moving. That's the only way I got out of the airport of life. I hit destination after destination after destination. Every time I did, I reached my hand in that same proverbial trash bag that the system started me out on, thinking something different was going to come out. In my 20s, out came suicide attempts. In my 30s, out came the drug addiction. In my 40s, out came everything that was the culmination of both of those 2 decades. Until I finally said, wait a minute, something's got to change. And I changed one thing.
What was that?
I changed it from being about any and everything else, and I made it about me. I reinvented blame. Instead of always bitching about a broken ass system that didn't take care of me and all the other kids I saw. Because that first room when that guy came at me, there were 3 boys in there with me that night. When I turned 21, I tried to find all 3 of them. And I finally did through people in the court system. Not one of those boys made it out of that system. We were all between 6 and 9 years old. All of them died before 14. All of them but me. You think was that? Here's a word that deceives. You think I should have said to myself, "Oh, boy, Loren, you were lucky." What are the odds of that?
No, that's not luck. That's
divine
That's
purpose.
spiritual power. You knew you were here for a reason.
No, I didn't.
No, not consciously.
Well, you just said I knew I was here. No, I didn't.
Well, your higher
I
self.
thought I was here as a joke,
Yeah.
as somebody's joke.
Yeah.
Lisa, I know y'all think, boy, he's a little aggressive.
No,
it's not the angry black man.
okay.
It's not none of that.
I
But
was
I'm telling
abused,
you,
Loren. I was abused. My mom tried to by my dad.
Okay,
My
but wait a
mom
minute.
tried to commit suicide at, I think,
Okay,
4.
Lisa.
And so
You got to tell that story, and you got to tell it from why you think, why you know you lived it. See, I'm not trying to say it because, see, when you go there, it makes it seem like I don't want people to think Loren is telling that because, oh, look, match my woes me story. Oh,
No,
I got
no.
one. No.
I know why I lived it, because I wanted to
Why
bring,
did you live it, Lisa? Why did you live it?
because it brought me strength to find myself rather
And
than externally believing they'll fix it for me and everything. It helped me bring forward the light that I am to the world. And I couldn't have done it without some hellacious experiences. And
I don't even use that. And it wasn't hellacious.
oh, well, where's the
You know,
time?
you know why I'm gonna say that? Because if something's gonna be hellacious after all the things that I've gone through, then it better have killed me. Seriously.
Wrong.
Because if it didn't kill me, I took nothing but the joy from it. Everybody thinks that life comes with, every time we go through the things you just described, it was one big ass door of trauma. But see, when you're consistent, you get down the road a piece, you mature, you expand,
Yeah.
you evolve. And then life counts on us to go back to those doors that were like big glowing neon signs, trauma, trauma, trauma. But there was a little bitty obscure, not even really that discerning to the naked eye, little doggy door somewhere on that door, wherever it wanted to be, never in the same spot, because you got to seek it to find it. And that was the doggy door where a future blessing was born into the process of coming. At the same time, I got blindsided by whatever it was. And then later in life, when I was too evil and bitter to get past it, when ego had to walk up and bitch slap me into my senses, then suddenly I saw that there are no mistakes. I saw that that system was broken, but you know what? I would have never testified before Congress, before millions of people about getting trash bags out of the system 40 some years since you handed me one, if it wasn't still, I have a voice now.
Uh-huh.
You gave me this voice, so I want to blame you for giving me this opportunity. You know what? Those abusers, let me tell you about those abusers. I'm an LGBTQ man, proud and alive. The most important word there is alive. I graduated high school in 1980. You do the math. On the street, suicides, attempts, drug addictions. Do you think that there weren't people feeling just like me that all hit their grave through the AIDS door, all because they were looking for validation or love and looking all in the wrong places? I did not hop, skip, or jump my lucky ass through that chain link, that barbed wire. I didn't. I was being guided. I was being protected. It was a lot of things that I didn't know what they were, other than I knew. I didn't know what to call it. Have you ever found yourself trying to express a wonderful experience to someone, and you go, I just don't have the words.
Yeah.
Stop looking for them. It's
Well, and
because they haven't created words for everything yet. That's why you want to tell me, listen, I can show you better than I can tell you because I don't have the words. But if you really want this, look at anything that has a life force in it, because a life force is proof that it can be loved and nurtured, and it can love and nurture you.
yeah.
I those molesters, and there were many of them in all those years. And I thought, after I had a 2 week relationship in my 20s, and that was it. Here I was, 43 years old. I looked up to the guy and said, listen, I remember in my 20s when I said I would rather spend 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of my life with my everything, than a whole lifetime with just anything. I know I said that, but damn,
Great quote.
did you have, I mean, we're 40 some years, I'm 42 years old. You took me really seriously. And it wasn't until I was 52 that just was going to be an arbitrary, just a random little, I want to look at your lake house. Let's talk about this. Let's do that. Let's have coffee. I didn't know at that moment. I was looking into the eyes of my everything. And I said it that day. It
Oh,
didn't take me 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 hours. In 1 hour, I said, you're the one. I've never been in a relationship except for one time way at the back end. It was only 2 weeks, so that doesn't really count. I know you're a therapist and you got all this and you got a PhD and you're probably thinking I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, I am going to pursue you. You are the one. And here I am.
so good.
And here I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, it's 444. That's my angel number. So I wanted to say this. And why am I so passionate about this? Why?
To help people.
Because I don't want what I know to be true to end up like, remember when back in the days when somebody said, oh, I'm a personal trainer, that meant something. Oh, personal trainer. You did. Then a few years later, my grandmother said she was one, and everybody believed her. You know, it's like people take, it's like a resume. Some people change their stories like they change resumes. I can be cleaning toilets on Friday. I want to see you, Lisa, on Monday for a job. Write a new resume on Sunday and hand you a resume Monday morning that says I created the toilet. You see what I'm saying? I can make it what I want it to be. Websites can do that, but SEO, things that people say and do and post and things where that's real. It can't be faked. I would rather people watch my feet as a speaker than ever my mouth. My mouth will tell you anything. Ooh, stay away from so and so. I wouldn't hang around with them. Or then you drive past the bar, you see my car, and I'm getting in the car with them. I thought he said right. All you want to know about somebody, two things. I'm gonna tell you. My birth mother told me in 5 minutes. You ever want to know something about somebody? Don't watch their mouths, watch their feet. And last but not least, I want to tell you this. She said, "Let me tell you something, Loren. You've spent too many years of your life trying to figure out things that you can't. If you can't figure something out, if it doesn't make sense to you, it's because it has absolutely zero to do with you. It isn't your problem. Everybody can't get out. When I said I couldn't get out of the airport of life, it was not because I didn't pay for the ticket to get there. I couldn't get out of security because I was dragging everybody else's luggage. Didn't have claim check the first. I had a trash bag, which was mine. I had somebody's Gucci. I had a Samsonite, all kinds of stuff in the backpack, all these things. And I didn't even know what was in them, but I wasn't willing to leave them. And then when I got to my own, I said, okay, finally, this trash bag. I looked in there, and there wasn't a dang thing in there I needed for this trip. For where I had all winter clothes, and I'm in Universal Hawaii. I left it all. And if they would have told me to take off the clothes off my back to get out of that airport of going nowhere, to step out into, wherever, somewhere, I would have done it. And I still do it every day. Am I afraid of death at 59 now? And did I just getting started? I don't want anything to happen. I had a health scare last year. I was like, first for a second, I said, great. Right when things are going great, I'm gonna probably die from cancer. It was a false alarm, but it wasn't false purpose. Because I said, you know what? If I were to die tomorrow, I don't think I could be any happier than I am right now. And it reminds me that, right now, each of us, we will never be younger again than we are right now. And so I just say all this to say this to people. Secrets. Don't let your secrets, don't let your scars be, don't become a modern day Hester Prynne. Those aren't scarlet letters. They're not tattoos. They're not even Velcroed on. But I tell you what they are. Scars, every one of them, the ones that are physically on our bodies. Here's where I got cut by a knife. Here's where I fell off my bike, whatever. As well as the scars that people can't see. Who cares? Be grateful that it's a scar because it's first and immediate proof that there is healing. And if you keep honoring them and showing them and bearing them and not wearing turtlenecks over your everything, don't put on, covering yourself from head to toe so no one will see your scars. Because when you honor them consistently, you'll see that there's a heart right behind that scar, and it's the heart of your story. It's waiting for your permission before. No one wants to live a flat line. At the end of the road, when they play that sizzle reel of our lives, do you want to hear yourself saying, well, why didn't I? Did anybody know? How come no one showed me? If I'd have known it was that easy, no. All I want to hear is, well, I know it wasn't the greatest performance, but as the For Agreement says, I did my best. So I encourage everyone, write your story, share your story in some form. There's many mediums. Get it out. Treat it like gas. Better out than in. My name is Loren Michaels Harris. I want to thank you all for your time. I didn't scare anybody. So
You might have.
there you go. I'm done. I'm done. I want to encourage you guys to use your lives to change the world.
Well, and you're talking to story writers, so it's great. It's like story creators. It's a great audience, and you're amazing. And I'm older than you are. And I'm
Quit
65.
playing. You are not.
I'm 65.
I'm 80.
No.
I'm kidding.
But you look good.
I
I look better
You're
than I did.
65?
Yeah, I look better than I did probably 15, 20 years ago. And
You know, I
because
feel that way.
it's life force.
It
It's
is. It
key. It's life
rejuvenates,
force.
it renews. Oh,
When you get clearer, then the energy flows through you. You have more energy, you're more enthusiastic, and you have more life force. And so your body heals everything. And
you're right.
yeah,
Lisa, you know what? You're really right. You do know this energy stuff.
yeah,
No, I'm serious because I had that happen last year when I said it was a health scare. They had 6 CAT scans and MRIs. They were going to, I was on my way for the last one. They were going to shoot dye in me. And an angel worker who had come backstage when I was speaking in San Diego the year before, she said, pull off the road. The angels just spoke to me. There's something going on the left side, which is where the ultrasound had them looking. Long story short, she said, they're removing it. I went and had that CAT scan. They have yet to call me back. It's almost 2 years later. Nothing. Just gone.
you
You know
switch
what I'm saying?
realities, you change realities.
Changed it. You know why? Because here's the deal. You know how we were talking about increase? If you want great to become greater and so on and so forth. But that R and that E, I forgot to tell you this part. The E and the R, if you want increase, everything to go to the next level. Also know that that R and that E are going to switch up in the middle and at the beginning because you get 2 more opportunities with it. Once great has become greater, now the ER becomes RE because now you're going to have more responsibility, more sleepless nights, more jerks to deal with, more joy, more incredible experiences, more wonderful memories, more. And you get to, with the RE, every day, like you just said, reinvest, reinvent, renew, regrow, to
Yeah,
do it all again. And don't you think, because I've said this, I've said to God before, to all of them, I promise you, the life I live today, and this is my last piece, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I put this on all 22 of my, all of who were each individually chosen to play a specific role in my journey. So I honor all of them, every last one. But
yeah,
I'll
they
tell you,
help. We hired them. I mean, we're creating our own reality. We hired them. I hired my dad. I hired all the abuse. I hired
uh,
those people to play those roles in my life so that I could be who I am today. And if we hadn't hired them, I would not be this person if I hadn't gone through that. And when you understand that, you take back your power.
you take it back or you go, I didn't have to take it back. I had to go back and pick it up
No,
because nobody took it from me. People can't take
that's
my
right.
power.
That's
People can't take,
absolutely right.
hold on,
Nobody
hold
took
on. Because look, I told you about these words that deceive. Nobody can take your power. Nobody can take your blessings. And you can't take theirs. You can leave them. You can ditch them. You can abandon them. But nobody can ever take them.
You're
Think
right.
about it.
Yeah.
If it was so hard for us to find them for ourselves, how in the world can they find them?
Yeah. You're totally right. That's another level. But
It's another level. It's
for
the
me,
level.
when I try to move forward, I'd have like my dad in my head saying, "Don't tell anybody, don't do this, don't do that." And so I had to keep talking to my little girl because I kept saying, "He's dead, he's dead, he's dead." And she didn't get it. And when I finally go, "He's not here," my 4-year-old goes, "Oh," because she could comprehend. So where I logged it in my brain could comprehend it at 4, and that got me through it. And then I moved it to a higher level, and that helped release it. So I put your link in the chat.
Oh, for the master class?
No, I just put it for your website, so you can.
No, give them the link for the master. I want everybody to have
I
that.
have your coaching link. I don't have.
No, I put it
I,
in I sent it to you in here.
oh, you did?
Yep. It's up at the top to Lisa Long privately. And then it says my gift. This link will
Oh,
give
okay. There
everyone
it is.
free access to
I
my
thought
entire 12.
I thought you couldn't give that anymore.
I've worked it.
Okay, cool.
I worked it. Listen, you're always going to be challenged. Just because somebody says no on the front end, when you come back and you tell them who it's for and why they must have it, if they were supposed to be in the front row seat of your life, the truth is going to ring, the bell is going to ring, and they're going to say, no problem.
That's an amazing gift. It's such a beautiful course. It reminds me
That's
of
how you know you're in purpose. because all the things that mean the most to you, all you want to do is go and give them away. That's what you do. You want to give it away. I don't write books to
No.
sell at events. I don't sell shit at my events. Nothing. Nothing. Because I don't, well, let me tell you something. The greatest rewards from story never have anything to do with a routing number or a credit card. Trust that.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's the
Yeah.
truth. You got to want the world to have it just because. Just because. Because if you don't, you'll be watching what you do with that thing I gave you. How come you haven't changed yet? I gave you what you know what? I'm not trying. No. No. I ain't got time for it. I ain't got time for it. And we're not supposed, four agreements, people, four agreements. Impeccable with your word. Never make assumptions. Take nothing, absolutely nothing personally. And above all else, always do your best. And when you do your best, source, spirit, God, greater than, will take care of the rest. You can go as far as you can, and everything you've been trying to get to all your life can be 2.5 inches from you, and you can only stretch to a half inch. But what is greater than you will pick it up. I don't care if it's half a mile away, half a world away. It will pick up what it is that is meant for you and bring it directly in front of you.
That's right.
It
Totally.
will.
Yeah.
It will. That's why you're still here. Those things that thought they were doing something to you, they were helping to do this work, this purpose through you,
Yeah.
through you. And that's where we just got to give the world the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Don't take from it. Don't add to it. Lay it out there the way it was laid on you,
Well,
because you got through it.
it helps when you're transparent in it so you don't cry. Like it took me a while to get through the trauma and the emotional hits and
You
everything.
feel like it's not okay for you to cry when you talk about things.
Well, a little bit, but I was a basket case when I was cleared.
Oh,
I
oh,
mean,
you were
like,
one of
yeah,
those.
I would not have been able to. Yeah, it was like, yeah, I had to get through it.
Lisa, were you one of those ugly criers?
Oh, I'm double.
I know some
I'm
people can ugly cry. I
I'm
can't.
double Pisces. I can cry and
See,
cry and cry and cry
hey,
and cry.
but you know what? When something goes out, it makes room for something new to come in. You
Yeah,
drop something old, you put something old down, it's room to pick something new up.
yeah.
So I just want to say in conclusion, these people here, I was Googling names while I was sitting before, and man, I don't even feel worthy, for all these people here that do, you guys do the stuff that I love. I live for movie. I live
Oh,
for it.
awesome.
And I just don't know how you guys got so brilliant, but if you bought it off eBay, can you hook a brother up? So I just thank you all so much. I know I was kind of like, boo, 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 but it's all from a place of love. Our
Well,
sponsoring thoughts come from two places, either love or fear. And I wasn't afraid at all in here today. So
oh,
trust me,
thank
it
you.
was all
Yeah,
love.
you were powerful,
No,
and
well,
I
words are powerful.
our my group Enlightened Life Entertainment on Facebook is kind of like a mastermind for. I want to keep us bringing our concepts in and grounding them in through the industry. So
You're doing a wonderful job, Lisa.
well,
Keep
I
doing
mean, you
what you're
can
doing.
share anything in there you want. You're one of the masters. So
Huh. Well,
all my
that's what I love
speakers,
about this
yeah,
masterclass. And I'm just saying, for you luminaries here, I think everybody in the world should do a masterclass. It's like when you're doing it, it's like this is your life. And then when you rewatch it and you remember when you're where you're telling the story, it's like you're looking through a stack of transparencies as tall as the Empire State Building, like a GPS system of all the streets and corners and turns that it took. When I watched a 3-minute piece that people were saying, "Oh my God, it changed my life! It changed my life! It changed my life!" And then I sit there and I look at it. What changed their life? It wasn't me watching myself. It was the vision of all of the routes that were taken. And I heard a voice say to me, "Now do you get it, Loren? Do you see why it took 47 years to get
uh,
that 3-minute story? It took
yeah,
47 years, 3 minutes worth of
yeah, but it reached
worth it.
it reached the
It was
world.
worth it. If you say to what is greater than you, I would go back and live everything from the beginning over again for 5 more minutes on the back end, because this is that worth it. This is that wonderful. Then you are within purpose. As when you fell down, you get down, whatever's going on. You get down, you fall down, you get back up on purpose with even more purpose. You will never accidentally slip or stumble into history or legacy. Even those that are notorious, they did it on purpose. Do everything with purpose and see what happens.
I feel that. I totally feel that.
It's the truth. Of course
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah. This has been great. You're amazing. Let's do it again sometime.
I
And
would love to. If anybody here wants to come on, can I do a shameless plug?
whatever
Anybody,
you
even
want,
people listening, if
go for
anybody wants to come on Bathrobe Moments, my daily show, 8 a.m. Central, Monday through Friday on the E360 network, we hit a bunch of endpoints. And anybody, just let me know. I love people that are willing to share the good, bad, the ugly, all of it, and just have conversation. Just have conversation. You don't got to get dressed up or nothing. I'm in a bathrobe, so you don't have to be. But some
it. Is
people,
that your E360?
yeah, yeah.
And
So
it's is it video or audio?
no, it's live every day, and it's on all my
I
platforms.
know, and
8
you're
a.m.
early. I'd love to do it. What time are you again?
Girl, what you gonna say? Oh,
I sleep.
I bet you if it was the Publishers Clearinghouse group with that giant ass check and all those balloons with $10 million written on front, and they said, "Can we come over at 4 a.m.? Would you get up?"
Oh God. Yeah.
Okay, I
But
thought you would. I thought you would.
is it really that
Listen,
early? 4 a.m.?
early makes no difference if it's what you feel you need. I didn't say what you want. I said what you need. So it's 8 a.m. Central, but that's no excuse because you can always watch a replay. Now what?
No, I'm trying to think about
A
what is that
replay. Go
Pacific?
back and watch it
No,
whenever you
no, but
want
if I'm
to.
on it, what is that Pacific?
Oh, you're talking about being on it. That's
Yeah,
six. That's 6.
I could do 6.
I know you can.